All right, the next area that we're going to build is this plastic piece that you see within here. I know that these pieces are all kind of molded together, but I'm building them in the different sections. So we're going to work on this section here. The shape is going to be a little bit complex because we do have this kind of cutout that you see here, and there is a spring that runs down through the center of that. This gray piece pulls back and it snaps to about in through here. So I did see with the other reference, you might be able to see it in there, that this plastic piece kind of runs to about this area, and then we're going to just kind of make it go at this kind of angle here, but it doesn't go all the way flush to this piece here. And there's also this notch that's kind of broken out and through here, and we got this piece here. And then we got kind of a little cutout feature here as well. Let's see if we can find a different piece of reference for this as well. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in on here. And what I wanted to show you is some of the rounding that is happening on there. Let's see what we got here. If I can find a better shot that's maybe on the top here. Here it is. So let's zoom in on this one a bit more. So you can see that this kind of comes in, it's a little more shallow here, it gets a little bit thicker here, so we're going to have to take this shape, we'll kind of taper it in. There's a nice round piece right in through here, and then it kind of goes flat at that point. Okay, inside of Maya, we're going to continue on with that shape that we've been working on for a while. We're going to go ahead and just go up to create and do polygon primitives. We'll do a cube. And I don't think the creation options matter all that much. I do have a division of 2, 2, and 2, so with these settings you can see I'm going to get a cube kind of like this, and I'm just going to quickly scale it down, kind of roughly get it to about the right size here. I can take these verts on this side and we can grab those and then probably just snap them. Let me tap 4, make sure I'm not selecting any verts on the inner part. Like this, yeah, don't want to grab those, don't want to grab that, and I'm just going to grab here like that. Okay, and then we can go ahead and tap V and then push right in through here to snap to the verts on the outer part of this guy. I'm going to try to grab right in through there. And so that should set us up for that. Let's go to the side view and we'll move this guy roughly into the middle like this. Let me just move it with the object. So I got that top edge kind of defined there, and I can push this back. You can see that we've got this piece here, this piece here. I'm going to have enough geometry to kind of maybe come down in through here to make sure I hit both of those shapes within there. So I can select the verts now. I can take this, maybe move that up to about there. Take this and I'll come down to about maybe here with it. And let's just go ahead and push this back like right in through here. I can see on this reference here, you can see where this notch kind of comes out right here, and it's going to kind of build back, but we're going to have to keep kind of referring back to our other reference pieces that we have where this is kind of moved back. We can kind of take a look at that. What I was saying is that I'm going to push this maybe right about in this area here. You can see we got this plastic piece and this kind of covers everything, but I guess to make things easier I'll just go ahead and pull this forward like this. I can take this one, kind of pull it forward right about here for that angle, and I'll just continue this angle that we've got going on right now for that. Okay, and so taking a look at this, I know I pulled those pieces closer here, but actually what it's doing, there's a little bit of space in here because we've got this gray piece that fits over the top of it. This thing goes over the top of it right there. So we need enough thickness for that to kind of cover that whole thing. So it feels like that is that's a pretty good distance that we've got right there. And what I did notice by the reference is that it feels like it gets a little thinner down here, and it's as far as where this meets, this is a little thinner down here, and it's a little thicker at the top. So what we could do for that is just take these verts that we've got right in through here like that, and we could pull those in just a little bit, and that's going to give that kind of angle that I was talking about, that it's a little bit thinner here and it gets a little thicker up top here like that. Now what we would want to do is kind of take a look and make sure we've got the right amount of rounding that we've got. So we could select F10, select our edges. You can right click, go to edges, however you want to select it. And then I'm going to shift right click in there and say bevel edge. And it'll give us this edge that we've got here. We can control the fraction. If you hold down control, you can get finer movement of this. And then we can put the segments up on that. So maybe we do something like this, and maybe take a look here at that kind of rounding. And I think it feels like that is getting pretty close to what we would need for that particular part. Now I don't have this thing symmetrical. Let's go ahead and freeze the transformations on it. So we'll go modify, freeze transformations. I'll just check the option box, make sure you go translation, rotation, scale, all those applied. And then now we can mirror that thing across, and we'll go to mesh, mirror, do the options for that, just like we've been doing, mirrored across the x-axis and the negative dimension there. And now you can see we're getting a lot closer to what that shape should be. Okay, let's go back to the reference and make sure we're using a shot that is for that back piece. And let's see if I've got to go to my reference folder real quick for this, because I need to load this piece up. Let's go ahead and use, I think this this one will work pretty good. So again, we've got this shape that we got to kind of knock out within through here. We've also got this notch that we've got right here, and there's a little plastic piece there that kind of connects in there. So I think it might make sense to go ahead and start knocking that shape out. So we'll go back to Maya, right in through here, and we've got our piece of geometry. If we go to the side view and take a look at this, again, we got that line that's kind of working for us there already. And what I'll do is use the shift right click and do the multi-cut tool, and we can just slice across there. And let's see if we can have some of the reference. I'm going to try to push this off to the side a little bit like this. And let's just see if we can have this reference up at the same time that we're working with this here, like that. Okay, that way we can kind of see what's going on, both of us can see. And so I think it feels like the thickness of that coming back, I'm also going to need to basically just take this whole section right here, and it doesn't even need to exist. So let's take that, and let's go ahead and I think something we could do is maybe take this and extrude it. Let's take this shape here and isolate it. Control 1. We'll select this right in through here, and make sure I'm grabbing this as well. And what I can do is just extrude that, extrude face, take it off this local mode and put it on world, and push it back here, and I'll just push it all the way through like that. Hit F8, and then now I got a bunch of geometry that I don't need. I'm going to select these edges like this and just delete them, and we're going to see if this will work for us. I'm going to try to also mirror this, but I know there's a face here. I'm just going to get rid of that face, and I'll hit F8. I know that's kind of messy, but if we just do the mirror, the mesh mirror tool, and push it across, we should get something kind of like that, right? We'll tap 3 real quick just to see what's going on with this thing. The reason why everything is smoothing out and this is staying kind of hard edge, these verts aren't actually welded together. So we'll take our verts, grab them all, shift right click, merge vertices with the option, do a load tolerance on it like this. Now let's try 3. and you should see everything starting to smooth the way that we'd expect it now the other part that we need, taking a look at this, so we've got this plastic piece that kind of comes down and through here. So we got to build some supporting geometry for that. So let's go ahead and hit F8, shift right click and say multi-cut tool. And I'm just going to, because I can't hold down control and do an edge loop all the way through, maybe I am, but I'm just going to actually slice through this. So we can click a point and slice straight through the model. You can do it at an angle if you want, or you can hold down shift and do it nice and straight. So I'll do it something like that. And now we got some new geometry to kind of play around with for that, right there like that. And I'm just checking the reference on here again and kind of checking that out a little bit. And I think that's going to be a good enough shape in through here. So I'll tap F8. I'm going to want to take these pieces here like this. I also need an indent in here. So if we use the multi-cut tool, shift right click, multi-cut, hold down control, we can build up an edge right along and through here. I think this is going to be a pretty good amount of thickness, and then we can take this face now and just extrude it down. So if we extrude the face, pull this thing down, hold down V and snap it down to here, we've got something close to what we need. We don't need the inner part of this. We don't need this face or this face here. We do have to merge our vertices together, so let's take our verts, shift right click, merge vertices, option box, low threshold, like that. Okay, and hit F8, object mode. So we're taking a look at it like this, and let's go ahead and mirror it across like that. I'm going to delete history, Alt Shift D. Tap 3, and you can see it's starting to work for us for the shape. So everything's starting to kind of get there, and the next thing I'm going to do is take a look at, there's a kind of like this indent line. Let's look at our reference in here. I've actually got it running like right here on this. What's really going on, let's take the verge. We need to move these guys down underneath this plastic piece. This intersects with that a little bit like that. And then I'll take this and run it down below a little bit. So the distance of this edge is not super high within through here. It's maybe about there. Now we can take the multi-cut tool, shift right click, say multi-cut tool, and we can slice straight across here and there for that, right there like that. So that's getting us a little bit closer. Let's take these lines all the way across, hold down control and shift, and it should give us that 90-degree angle, which comes in pretty handy. Take a look at the front of this. Let's do the same thing here. Go across, hit enter. Go here, hold on control shift, hit enter for that. And since we've already got this edge that's already built up and through here like this, I'm gonna continue it up and through here for now. Not gonna be too concerned about the geometry on that just yet. And so let's go ahead and mirror this across. So we got that going on now. And then now we can just hit F10 for an edge. If we select that, we want to do the ring going across here because we want to convert our selection into faces, and we want to do an extrusion on there. So if we select this edge like this and hold on control right click, you can go to edge ring utilities to edge ring, and it's going to select all the edges in that ring going along. Now we can convert that selection type from edges into faces. So if you hit F11, that'll switch over to faces, but if we want to convert a selection type, you hold on control and hit F11, and then we'll select that like this. And now we can shift right click and extrude face. And we want to do maybe a little small, very small, tiny offset. So maybe 0.01, something like that. And then thickness, let's see what we get for thickness on this. So I'm just trying to pull this in ever so slightly. And maybe do 0.06 somewhere in there, like that. Okay. Maybe I'm gonna try taking this offset off and just take a look now. So now we can see this object that we got going on here. Then maybe we can run this to do smooth edges. So if we do shift right click, soften harden edges, we'll do soften harden options. We'll do an angle of 20 degrees, and then that thing should shade a little better. Now you can take the object, right click, and we can assign one of our existing materials that we've made. So you either got the blend or this AI standard shader that I've been using for that. And we've got hard edges on these curvatures. I don't want that, so I'll double click this right in here like that. Shift right click, soften the edges. And let's go ahead and now mirror those results crossed. And so again, we're getting a bit closer with this shape. We got to keep going until we get to the point where, you know, we can tap 3. We got to hold all our edges and everything else like that. But let's get this shape going first. So let's go out of isolate, select, and kind of just see what's going on with the shape of this and kind of evaluate it. And I think everything's looking pretty good. Now if I wanted to build this kind of inset right in through here, we're gonna have to have some supporting geometry for that. So if we use the multi-cut tool, and let's just say we slice through our object like this to get that angle, that's a possibility. Now that's only going to give us one edge, and we could do it another time, but what we could potentially do is double click this edge loop that we have and then shift right click, use a bevel, and you can see it's going to give us a thickness for that, and we can kind of control how thick that's going to be. And I'm going to go to the side view and kind of check that out a little bit, and I think that looks pretty good. And through there, the next thing we need to do is run edges going straight across. So to do that, I'm just going to go into object mode. So you can select the object, right click, object mode, select it that way, shift right click, multi-cut tool, and we'll just run something right here like that, and try to get right about here for that. Just trying to go down just a little bit lower, right about there. And I think that's pretty good for the thickness. I don't know. Let's get it a little bit closer. So we'll do something like that. So now that should give us the geometry that we can, select in through here and kind of pull those pieces in if we want. The other thing that we need to do is, if we look back at that reference, is that we've got a cutout that's kind of going here. And so there's a little bit of a thickness on the distance on the top here, and then some thickness, a little bit more thickness on here on the bottom of this. So let's just go back to the side view. We've already got edges that are kind of flowing across there, and we could potentially just use that to our advantage to kind of knock that area out. Now if you look back at that reference and you pull this thing back, we've got basically, you can see these two little like indents right here and here. If we pull that back a little bit further, there's a third indent that's about the same distance from here, maybe right about there. So we just barely kind of pull this thing back and we're starting to get a cutout. So if we did some kind of cutout for that, it's probably going to fall within right here in this area. So multi-cut, it's like right back past this plastic piece, right and through there like that. Now there is some rounding on this thing, so if we hold down control and click and give ourselves another edge on there, we can hit F9 and take these verts and take this and pull them forward like that. And I'm also going to tap 7 to turn on my lighting so it makes the scene a lot darker. It's a little easier for me to kind of see the geometry. So what I'm going to do is, again, something kind of similar to what we did before. Try to do an extrusion going all the way through the thing. If I do that, I'm going to use the multi-cut tool and then take these lines and then continue them straight across like this. Oops, let's undo that. Just going to run this and hit enter. All I got to do is take that vert and I can snap it here and then snap it right down in the center, and we know we're running straight across that thing. I'll do the same thing for this and that right there, like that. So let's mirror it across, and so now we should have some geometry there. I can go ahead and use the multi-cut tool, run straight across here, and while we're at it, might as well continue these guys. I don't know, it's not kind of fighting me sometimes on some of those 90-degree off that, so no big deal. Just snap it there and there, and then we should be good to go. Mirror it across like that, and then now I'll go ahead and take these faces and just shift right click and extrude face, take it off local mode and put it in world, just push it all the way across, kind of like that. I'm going to delete the history on it and get rid of, just going to get rid of these faces in here, like that. And then we'll mirror it across. So we'll do that mirror and cut and sew everything together kind of deal. We could tap F3 and check that out, and I think it looks like it's actually behaving okay. Now those are hard edge because we don't have the verts welded together. So if we do F9, drag a marquee around, let's just drag a marquee around all this, shift right click, merge vertices, do the low threshold thing. And now if we tap 3, you can see it's starting to smooth all that stuff out like that. Okay. Tap 1, let's hit control 1 real quick. Take a look at the object, and again we needed to take everything that was going on for here and kind of extrude that in. I am wondering about this. Let's see this. If we do a multi-cut tool and we go straight across from here, we could turn this by taking this edge here, get rid of that, get rid of that. We don't need this geometry anymore, and through here, and we don't need this geometry anymore going through there. So we don't have to keep running that geometry all the way down the whole thing. Let's mirror it across real quick, and then I can hit F10, and then we can hold on control and right click and say to edge loop, utilities, and delete, like that. And we can get rid of all that excess geo that we don't need. And then now we can mirror it across. We're getting closer. So now I think this is our basic shape that we want. Just going to look for, got a stray vert within there that I don't need, and I think I had the same thing on the other side, just like that. Now it's going to be a matter of taking all these and building support edges for everything on here. And we did say we're going to do this. We were going to try to get the edge ring for that. So if we select this and this, control right click to edge ring, hold on control F11 to convert edges to faces, and then we could do that extrusion again, shift right click, extrude face, and just control the thickness of this a little bit by pulling that in right there, and I'm just going to give it a little bit of a shallow thickness in through there like that. Looks like for some reason I just noticed this. There's an edge. Not sure why, but I'm just going to go ahead and delete that, get rid of that, and just check everything. Now we can mirror it across like that. And so then, yeah, we're getting much closer now. Let's just go ahead and do this. Just trying to get a little more space for the interface here. And I do know if we wanted to continue this line going up and through here, what we could potentially do is do something like this. Shift right click, do extrude face, and do an offset. I want something that's kind of like this, but just to get this part, that part that I want right here, but I don't want these verts here. So let's go F9, shift right click, merge vertices, target weld. Let's weld this. We got that, and then we'll weld that there. And then that way I didn't have to like manually kind of cut all that geometry going across and everything. What I do need to do though is continue some of this geo over. And I'm just going to make the geometry for it. Do something like that. Yeah, I'm going to continue this here. I'm just trying to think of maybe a pattern to kind of end in this, like this. Because I'm going to keep everything quads. Now this is going to be flat, so I can do a little bit to the geo and not have to worry so much about how I'm like continuing that geometry through and kind of ending it. I definitely would want, I know we're going to put a support edge going all the way through here, so maybe let's do that real quick before I start doing that. Let's mirror this across like that, and then now I will add a support edge right here for this. Now this is not going all the way across, so that's making me think there's some kind of issue with our geometry. And let's see if we can find what's going on here. So if I hit F9 and take a look, oh no, maybe there's just a vert on there somewhere that's needs to be merged. So shift right click, try this, run that on there. Let's tap 3 and see some of the results that we're getting. So it looks like it's okay. Now I could, you see this kind of pinching that's kind of going on here for this. So that would just be, maybe if we ran this straight across here and do 3, it's going to hold up a little better for us. We've already got some supporting edges going there. Now we need some here. I'm going to get somewhat close to that. Tap 3 for that, and you're starting to see that it's hardening up those edges for sure. We've got a support edge there. We want to run maybe something through here, because I know like we got this shape here, that's going to need a support edge, so we can run something like that. That's going to run this up here. I could just connect this straight through to that piece like that. And that would take care of that part. Can continue this here. I need one here. And if you remember that pattern, as soon as we see something like that's going from a corner like this, we can collapse some of this down I'm going to hold this here like that. I need to hold this. I need to hold this here. Hold that. I need to hold that. And what's happening because we're doing this is that it's, you know, starting to make all this geo that continues up through the model. And what I'd like to do is get away from that. So I know we need some support edges here, like that. We need support edges here. And I'm kind of curious why this is not continuing some of the geo on through here. So I'll just have to do some of this by hand, which is not that big of a deal. But it just takes a little bit of time. I can actually run that from there to there, like that. Let's tap 3 and see kind of closer what we're getting. Delete the history of that. So starting to harden up this. I'm not a super fan of, I did notice, like, if I select these edge loops going all the way across here, it sinks in below this line here. I don't really like that, not a fan of that. So we can hold down V and snap that to that point there. We could take this line, snap it to that part there, kind of like that. And let's just mirror this across. So that's starting to harden up and look better. Let's just check it against this model here, and just to see how things are kind of working against everything else. And I think we're okay on that part. So that's good. And again, I'm just turning on and off the lighting that I set up. Just with that material, it's got a really high specular value, and it looks good when it renders, but sometimes it's too bright when I'm modeling. So I'm trying to get the best of both worlds there for some of that. Now I know I need a support edge going along and through here. Let's see if I do the multi-cut tool, and I actually did the insert edge loop tool, which is fine. And let's see if I had another one here. Tap 3 for that. Let's hit F8 so we can go out of that tool and see what's going on. Now I noticed there was a lot of movement like up in here in this corner, so I would need some kind of support edge here. So tap 3 for that. That's starting to bend around there. Okay. Now I don't have really much of anything that's going on with this here on the end of this. I've also got this geometry where this is like a big end gun down here. I could take the multi-cut tool, run this down here like this. If I tap 3, let's take a look at what happens as that geometry ends. It's just a big flat shape underneath there. I don't think you're going to see it, so maybe we can get away with just not continuing that geometry all the way through. Let's take a look here for this. Now we can start adding some edges to this part for sure. We need some edge information here. We need to run it all the way across. So I'm going to go from here to like here. And let's mirror this across. Take a look at starting to harden up that edge now, which is good. And yeah, we've got a lot of edges that are coming together from running some of these operations all the way up and through there. So again, there's going to be definitely some cleanup that needs to happen. But what I could do is, I know I would, I basically need a bevel along through here and here. Like that. Let's make sure that that goes all the way around. It does, and that's good. So now I need a very small bevel. Shift right click, bevel edge, and maybe even lower than that. Point 0.2. Let's try that. Maybe a little larger. Okay, 0.4. And so that's going to give us some support edges for that piece there. Now that does come to, it comes to a corner, hard edge like that. So we're going to have to do some work on that to get that to play the way that we would like. And I think I'd like to put a piece of geometry, like some geometry here, maybe something closer to the edge here, here, something down through the center of that, like that. So again, if I select the edge loop of this and then just scale this, I can make that nice and straight. Okay. Just doing that to keep the surface from moving too much. And now I can see this just kind of ends right here. I'm going to delete the history on it. And what I was hoping for, I mean, it is rounding this right here. Is it necessarily doing it the way that I would hope for? I don't know about that. I'm gonna see if I can reroute some of this stuff. So I'm gonna use the multi-cut tool. I'm gonna go from basically here and kind of outline this part like this. Hit enter. This builds a section here for this right here, like that, and then I'll go from this corner out. Actually, I'm gonna have to leave that particular part. Hit F8 and mirror across, because there's just a lot of, there's gonna have to be a lot of cleanup on a lot of these pieces that I got going on here. And yeah, so like this doesn't even have a support edge yet right here, so we can do multi-cut tool, go something like that, and tap 3, and now you can see that's hardening up for that right there, like that. And so that's all looking pretty good. Let's try this. I'm just curious if I double click this, tap F, so you can see that this these edges here. I need more geometry on here, so we'll shift right click and do a bevel on that and do 0.05, something like that. Let me see, just see if I smooth that. It is starting to harden that up. So that means we're gonna have to do something with the geometry. I'm gonna try this real quick. I'm gonna take these 2 points, merge them together, and now that we have that merged, let's go ahead and see if we can put a cut through here down to like this corner here. And let's just see what the results of that are. Not too pretty. So trying to think of what else could be done here. This could be run through here. Let's just take it like this. We'll go straight across this way like that, and let's get rid of this piece of geometry there, and I'll take these verts like this and target weld that and that, and we'll tap 3 and 5 and 7, and I need to go out of there so I can just see. So I think that's going to be okay for the surface. You know, you can't really see anything shading wise down the length of this, and I think it's holding the corner okay. So we could use that as a solution for that, and maybe take the multi-cut tool and cut like here. And let's try taking this and cut here like that. Let's just see what this looks like if we mirror it across. And tab 3. Yeah, so we're holding our corner, we're holding our edge like that. Let's bring everything back, take a look. I think we're okay. I've got shadows turned on for this display, but I think evaluating the surface looks okay. Now I do have this kind of like hard edge thing kind of going here and here, and that's because we got geometry that's just really close together here. So now is really going to be this. I'm gonna have to go through this cleanup process of all the edges are held, but need to start combining like corners and things like that and getting rid of excess geo that isn't needed. So I'm going to go ahead and take the video, I'll put it in a time-lapse mode for that particular part, and you can see all the work that I'll have to do to do the kind of cleanup process for that. So it's not the most exciting thing, but it's just going to have to be something that has to be done for sure. And let's do one last mirror, one last check of that. Okay, yep, I'm gonna go ahead and put this in the time-lapse mode.